thinking about Lance Armstrong this week. He was in the news here in California. He is advocating, campaigning to bring awareness about Proposition 29. We get kind of weary about propositions, props. I think this is a good proposition, Prop 29. Basically, the Proposition 29 says that they're going to put an extra tax on cigarettes. That revenue generated from that will go to cancer research. And so Lance Armstrong is a very good advocate for cancer awareness and fighting cancer, and he's campaigning here in California to generate awareness about Prop 29, which we might hear more about in the future. And that's commendable. That is extraordinary that he's doing that. That's very good. We need people to do that, to raise awareness and to advocate for those who are struggling with cancer, that have family members. Because we know so many people in our lives, our family, our grandparents, our parents, our children, our cousins, our friends, that have been greatly impacted by cancer. Just in our circle of fellowship, the loss of Josiah last week, we know those impacts very deeply. And so it's good that Armstrong is associated with bringing awareness to that. Now, some baggage comes with Lance Armstrong. There's the cloud of doping allegations that follow him in his biking career, and that doesn't seem to ever leave him. And then also, too, I hold this against him the most, that somehow he broke up with Sheryl Crow. And it was obviously not her fault, because Sheryl Crow is Sheryl Crow. Fantastic. So he was a bonehead there. But it's very good that he is raising awareness and he's advocating. And it's very commendable that he's still a spokesperson for those with cancer and fighting through cancer. I remember the first book that he wrote, or that he had a shadow author writing it with him. It was entitled, It's Not About the Bike. And this is after he went through testicular cancer, and he fought through that, was on the brink of death, but he came back from that. And he got to a point where he was regaining his strength, and he wanted to ride. He wanted to ride again in a competitive way. And he didn't know if he could do that, if he could ever ride again at this competitive level that he had rode in the past. And so he was trying to get back in shape, and he went to train in North Carolina. And there was this passage in his first book, It's Not About the Bike, and he talks about this training moment that they went to a mountain called Boone Mountain. Well, they ride up that, on bicycles without motors. That's pretty impressive. So that's where he was training. He was getting ready for that. Where'd Michelle go? Did she leave? I was going to ask her. Do you have to do something like that in a triathlon?
I haven't seen the actual course that we're going to be doing yet.
Oh, I did. I looked at it. It's all that. You even have to swim uphill. So, I don't know, you might want to double up on the training. It's like salmon, they have a salmon part of the course to get to. So, Boone Mountain. All right. So he was writing, and this has stuck with me. I guess I read that book about 12 years ago, whenever it came out, or maybe 13, 14 years ago. And this one passage in his book just always stayed with me, and I want to share this passage with you. So he was at North Carolina, Beach Mountain, I'm sorry. There's two mountains, Boone Mountain, Beach Mountain. He said, "We rode in the rain every day. The cold seared my lungs, and with every breath I blew out a steam of white frost, but I didn't mind. It made me feel clean. Toward the end, we decided to ride Beach Mountain, a strenuous 5,000-foot climb. There was a time when I owned that mountain. It had been the crucial stage of my 2 Tour de Pointe victories. I remember laboring up the mountainside with crowds lined along the route, and how they had painted my name across the road. Go Armstrong! We set out on the 100-mile loop before the ascent to Beach Mountain. We rode through a steady rain for hours. As I started up the rise, I saw an eerie sight. The road still had my name painted on it, Viva Lance. I continued upward and the mountain grew steeper. I picked up the pace. I heard my breath grow shorter and accelerated. The ascent triggered something in me. And as I continued upward, I saw my life as a whole. I saw the pattern and the privilege of it and the purpose of it too. It was simply this. I was meant for a long, hard climb. That phrase has stayed with me in life. I was meant for a long, hard climb. There are moments that we experience in life that are long, arduous, hard climbs. And at this point, I don't want to tell you that, that's good or that's God divine. I don't believe that necessarily, that God creates obstacles like this. And I don't want to say anything trite or cliche to minimize the obstacles that we face, because there are certainly mountains that we would choose to take on, but then there are mountains that we would never choose for anyone. And I think cancer is one of those mountains that we would never choose for anyone to take on. But there is a sense of fortitude that we find, or that we can find in life when we do face challenges like this. There is a deep sense of grace that we would not know any other way until we come up against the hardest challenges that life can throw at us. This image speaks to me. This image is entitled Prevailing, but I thought fortitude when I saw this image just yesterday. We need fortitude. We need a sense of grace. That's what happens when we face these mountains. Some mountains we choose to face, we take on to conquer, and some other mountains, they pop up in front of us, even if we don't want them there. But we can stand beside each other. We can make sure that if somebody's facing a mountain, a challenge, that they don't face it by themselves. And it's not that we go to them and give them some kind of trite, cliche, rah, rah, rah speech. But we go and we stand beside them, we journey with them. We make sure that they're not by themselves. I think that's the best we can do in moments like this. I also think that sometimes there are mountains that we would climb, but we never attempt to climb. We never attempt to take on because we doubt ourselves. But there's something about the climb that builds strength in you, that builds fortitude in you. You know, it's interesting to think about that mountain scene. And Peter was all excited, and he said, Jesus, this is great. Let's set up a permanent camp here. Let's put these booths up, and this will be good. We'll make tabernacles. This will be fantastic. We'll commemorate this. Peter had mistakenly thought that this was it. This was the culmination of God moving into this world. It was all done. It was good. God's kingdom had come to earth, and it was done. And Peter was excited about this. But in actuality, the climb had only begun. The real climb had already only begun. So we step in, leaving Epiphany season, and we step into the Lenten season. And I think that Lent teaches us that life is frail, that life is a journey, that there are struggles in life. Lent reminds us that we are mortal. It reminds us that all of us are mortal. But also, too, I think Lent reminds us that we are together, that we are journeying together.